Just a little video of my 5 favorite classic ratchets. I guess the one that's the least classic, but this will be in half-inch drive, so of what I've collected, would be this Klein 3238. Klein actually still sells these, but I know they've been selling them for a long time. And these are like an ironworker's ratchet, service ratchet. There's a variety of names, and it's just a alignment bar. So when you're trying to line up 2 holes, you put this through, get them close. And what's really nice is that you have the socket on the other end. So once you get the holes lined up, you get the fastener through, and then you start tightening it down. Long handle, like 15 inches, because it's an alignment tool, so you can get plenty of torque on it. And just uses a pretty robust, all forged external swing pawl head. So these are just super simple. That's the ratchet pawl. So yes, particles can get in there. They tend to be very coarse tooth, but they are very heavy duty. They're reliable, and they're easy to lubricate and clean out. The next one, which I recently picked up, is this Craftsman long handle. This is an old East Coast version, because of the metal switch. I don't recommend any of the other Craftsman ratchet, pairhead ratchets besides these East Coast. And you also know them because of this heavy duty snap ring held in support. They always have pretty good anvils. They've had both quick release and non-quick release. Anyway, this happens just to be a long handle. This Craftsman's a 44976, and always really like these. This is I would call a Williams or Batwing pawl style ratchet, and they are really probably one of the best ratchets that Sears ever sold. Really strong spring for the quick release. Really appreciate that. We'll hold off on that one in the middle for a second here, because we'll talk about another open pair head ratchet. These are always nice because of how small they are for a pair head style ratchet, even compared to this Craftsman. They're pretty small. The really early East Coast ones, I should get do have an oil port on the Craftsmans. I should mention that. One of the only ratchets I've ever seen that has something like that. But the open pawl ratchets are just simple, reliable, and compact, because they just get rid of a bunch of that extra material and closes it in as a trade-off. I kind of like the Thorsen. I have an Industro, but the Thorsen has some nice, curvature here, chamfers, pretty tight anvil. They even rounded the pawl, so it's really pretty nice. Pretty strong ball detent on the Thorsens too. And this is the Thorsen 77. Always like the sound of these. Just because the pawl's open, you can really get some good sound. One is a New Britain design ratchet. This is actually their more budget brand Mustang, but this one happened to come out with just the biggest problem with New Britain ratchets is that they didn't have the greatest tolerances, but this one happened to come out absolutely perfect. Super tight. A lot of times I'll have a lot of back and forth play. Surprisingly enough, I've found probably 20 or more. There was a variety of different brands the New Britain design was used with, and you always know that because they have these patent numbers on the bottom. Only one has ever slipped. It's a super duper reliable ratchet mechanism, and even reading on some forums, there's some people who like the Mustangs because they're slightly rougher finish. That's where they were budget. They're basically the same ratchets as New Britons, but instead of being really well sanded and polished, these are just chrome plated with just basic removal of the flashing. But a lot of people said it gives them a little bit thicker head and makes them a little bit stronger. But the New Britain design, for a long time, it was essentially a fine tooth, usually 60 tooth round head ratchets, and they did have a pretty compact head, and they were just super reliable. It's a super proven mechanism. Really sounds nice. And you always know them because they have this really stiff reverse switch. This thing will never self-reverse on you, that's for sure. They have a huge oversized pawl. Really pretty nice ratchet. And I've reviewed these individually. And of course, the last one here is going to be this old Bonney. This is the A702K. Bonney was the first tool company to popularize the use of chrome vanadium. And the reason I like this ratchet so much is because this is, probably one of the better examples of what people would consider, American manufacturing, where it is overbuilt. It's excessive for the work that's intended to do. And this Bonney is like that. This Bonney weighs a huge amount, has an absolutely massive head on it. If we compare it to, say, this New Britain, just so much wider. it's quite a bit taller, and that's just because they threw a bunch of steel at it. A nice thick stem that just gets really wide to just a massive chunk there. You can see how thick the body is. Done a review on this. It has twin pawls in it. Once again, really nice tolerances. There's barely any play. And on this one, the reverse switch sits on top of the moving part, relative to it, that would be the stationary part on top of the anvil, so that the body of the ratchet never contacts this, so it's physically impossible for this to self-reverse. But what I always liked about this was just a big reverse lever, pretty easy just to flip with your hand. Really strong ball detents on that, and really chunky pawls in there. Just it's actually the most overbuilt round head ratchet I've seen to date for a given drive size. No other half-inch drive ratchet that I've seen just comes to the amount of steel that Bonney decided to throw at this ratchet. And yeah, that's a steel reverse lever. That isn't cast zinc. It's really pretty stout. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you all. Been quite a few comments over the, I guess, years now about maybe I should make some more videos about what some of my favorites and kind of why I like them. And if you're out tool hunting, eBay, or garage sales, these are the types of ratchets I would keep my eye out for most. If you only have a few bucks in your pocket and a choice, these are one of the choices I'd make. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus Maximus out.